on pages 1 and 2, and we're moving to the writing, which we'll be looking at on pages 3 and 4 of this packet. You know the goal was to finish pages 1 and 2 by the end of the day on Monday. I know my ASD was working hard on getting it done. Most kids throughout the day have been done. A couple haven't, though. And that might kind of set you back a little bit, because that means now in class, when we're starting to do the writing, you still need to do the graphic organizer to get your thoughts down in an organized way. You might then already need to be thinking about how to make up that time because you didn't get that done. My after-school help session is today. You have ASD tomorrow, and you'll have access to those computers to kind of catch yourself up. So if you're still working on pages 1 and 2, think already about how to make up that time, okay? All right, so we did pages 1 and 2, did a really good lesson on Monday. Today we're going to look at pages 3 and 4. If you want to separate them, totally fine. If you want to keep them together, that's totally fine as well. How many paragraphs of writing are we going to end up doing here, Lil? 5. Can someone please tell me what you're going to be doing in paragraph 1? Every hand should be up. What are you doing in paragraph 1, Emma? Ooh, kind of. Kind of. Dylan?
You're like introducing like the author.
Just stop right there. You're doing an introductory paragraph. Paragraph 1 is an intro paragraph. Good. What are you doing in paragraph 5? Paragraph 5, Jessica, is a concluding paragraph. You ready? I want you to think about the graphic organizer. What are you going to be discussing in paragraph 2? Look back on your graphic organizer if you need to. What are you going to be doing in paragraph 2? Aiden?
Like all your notes that you took.
Be more specific than that. Ray? Good. It might be different. You're going to do the one physical characteristic. Everyone for, raise your hand. Everyone for paragraph 3. And follow along with the graphic organizer if you need to right now. Everyone for paragraph 3. Colin. Transportation. What are you going to do for paragraph 4? Paragraph 4, Drew? The other human characteristic that you picked, it's going to vary. And then we've already covered 5, which is your conclusion. I want you to think about how we do 5 sentences of writing pretty much every week for reading workshop. Intro sentence, concluding sentence, evidence in the middle. So this is like reading workshop, 5 sentences, kind of blown up to 5 paragraphs to be a lot lengthier because we're covering a whole book here. Let's now look at what we're going to do in paragraph 1. This is what Dylan was getting to. Can someone please read what you're going to start with in paragraph 1? Go ahead, Dylan.
Wait, do I read the
Yep,
top
in
one?
your, yep.
In your topic sentence, remember to include the
Title.
author, genre, and a general response to the prompt.
Good. That sounds very familiar. Am I right? We've done those topic sentences over. Is that your second? No. Go over and then look. I thought we grabbed that. Sorry. We've done those kind of sentences over and over and over again in the reading workshop. We're going to do it in just a minute, but let's keep going. Now, this is bigger than a reading workshop. You're not just going to do one sentence of introduction. We're going to do an intro paragraph. Besides the topic sentence, can someone continue? Aiden?
Same first paragraph, you should provide some background on the novel relevant to the prompt, including a mention of the setting and a mention of the main characters. Then tie back to the concept of the place before heading into the body.
Good. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So your intro paragraph is your topic sentence, a little bit of background, and then you're going to get us back into the theme of place before you dive into the body. Let's now look at paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. The word that's kind of cut off there is here. Does someone mind reading that little explanation? And I want you to realize this is your first draft paper, but Mrs. Walden and I have made it into a kind of another graphic organizer. Skylar, here.
Here in the body of your writing, which is the next several sentences, turn your notes into well-ordered, well-explained sentences.
And I think that makes sense to you. You have all those notes on that graphic organizer, sled, and how it was a wintertime use. Good. at the bottom? Thanks, Andrew.
Note that you will want to switch into a new paragraph as you move into a new category. Therefore, the body will be 3 separate paragraphs.
Just covered that. One paragraph will be your one physical, a paragraph on transportation, and then you'll have a final paragraph in the middle that covers your other human characteristic. That word that's cut off there is use. Can someone tell us more here about what to do in the body? Someone who has not yet read. Jake, thanks.
Use some transitional words and phrases to show organization for paragraphs and paragraphs.
And also within parts of the paragraph. So you're going to be transitioning from climate, for example, to transportation. But I want you to think about your transportation section for a second. You're going to have transitions within the paragraph. You're going to start by telling us about how water transportation is really, really important. Give me those. And then you need to transition into what? After water, I heard it. Christian? Do you remember what it was? Land. You're then going to say something like, not only is water travel really important in Newfoundland, so too is land travel. You give me the land travel, you're then going to transition into wintertime travel. You give me more information about the sled, you're then going to transition into the airplane. So you're going to have transitions from paragraph to paragraph, but even within the paragraph, you're going to have transitions. To help you out tomorrow, Mrs. Walden and I on our data projectors are going to put up some of these transitional words and phrases. Words that show location, show time, compare two things, contrast, emphasize a point, conclude or summarize, add information, clarify. Look at these add information ones. Rather than saying another, we've given you some options. So we'll have these up for you tomorrow. This is going to play into the last thing that's also as a part of the body. Can someone read that where it says also? Thanks, Mia.
Also be mindful of your fluency. Think about varying up the start and length of your sentence.
For the first time on a rubric, Mrs. Walden and I are going to include sentence fluency. And yes, this is counting for both of our classes. This will be a 100-point major assignment for me and a 100-point major assignment for Mrs. Walden. You can expect we're going to assess ideas. Do you have a lot of evidence? Do you explain the evidence? You can expect, of course, that we would be assessing organization, thus the graphic organizers. You can assume that we're going to assess word choice, picking fresh and precise words rather than everyday words. Of course, in the end, conventions are going to matter. Your commas and your capitalization and the other punctuation, spelling. For the first time, we're also going to look at your sentence fluency. Sentence fluency are these two things. Varying up the start of your sentence, you're not always starting the same way, and these are certainly going to help you. And varying up the length of your sentences. You want to have some shorter sentences, some longer sentences. You are now more savvy writers. You know how to construct a compound sentence. You know how to use an introductory phrase. Use it to vary up your fluency because we will be scoring that this time for the first time. All right, lastly, that's for the body. Let's now look at paragraph 5. The word that's missing there is tack. Thanks, John.
Tack on a short concluding paragraph that summarizes the title, author, genre, and in response to the prompt, but that restates, makes it a bit differently from the topic sentence.
This is going to, thank you, John. This is going to be a very short paragraph, probably 2 sentences just to kind of line things up. Let's look back now to paragraph 1. So we're looking on page 3 of the packet. You have done topic sentences over and over and over again, and over again. You know what to include. Be looking on page 1 as you try to construct in your head. Title, author, Joan Hyatt Harlow, genre, and you're answering this question. How does the novel show the geographical theme of place? In your head right now, things should be kind of like moving around. How am I going to construct this sentence? You've done it before. be thinking, how can you put it all together so that it doesn't sound jolted and two-sentencey? Let me give you a second to think about it. All the elements that you have are, that you need to include are on the board. On your paper too, as page 1. All right, I know you're going to be taking a risk here. Anyone willing to share the sentence that you're kind of working on in your head? Thank you, Frank.
Hold on. How does the novel Star in the Storm by Joan Hyatt Harlow show the geographical theme of place?
Close, but you still have it as a question, and I need an answer. Question: Does the novel show the geographical theme of place? Say yes. Yes. Oh, wait, hold on. Start here. The novel, the historical novel, Star in the Storm, by Joan Hyatt Harlow, shows, get it down right now. The historical novel by the way, it was italicized there on the front. How do you need to indicate in your handwriting that it's a book title, Lily? Underline it, please. So in reading workshop, you would be all set with kind of your introduction. But here, we're doing a novel. We need to do a little bit more. We can't assume that the reader of our text response has read the novel. We need to provide a little bit of background. Here it reminds you to mention the setting and mention the main characters. Do I need everything about the dog law and Tamar? No. What do you think I probably need to include in this next section? Who or what do I need to include? Ray, get us started.
We should say, like, the novel is about a girl named Maggie who lives in Newfoundland with her dog, Sirius.
Excellent. So Maggie, Newfoundland, Sirius. What else might I want to include? That's just a brief little mention. John?
Works for the Rams.
I don't even think I need that detail, to be honest with you. Drew?
Bonnie Bay.
Maybe Bonnie Bay. Is Bonnie Bay a real place or no? Oh, interesting. Okay. Frank?
You could also say that it takes place in 1912.
You might want to mention the setting of the year, 1912.
Yeah.
I think that might even be too much. I think you've covered most of it. You might want to mention what about Newfoundland? McKenna? It's an island in Canada. That's it. How many sentences for that? 2. Probably 2 sentences. So I'm going to write this up here. Don't feel like you need to write it up here. But so sentences 2 and 3 are that background that we just talked about. And then sentence 4, you need to get back to the idea of place. That the focus is that the novel shows us about the theme of place. Let's now look at the body. Paragraph 2 might be different because you all chose different things. What 2 words will everyone include, though, in the topic sentence about paragraph 2? And don't look at me, don't look at my face, look back here. What 2 words will everyone include, regardless of what was picked, for their topic sentence? Ready? Not physical and human, just physical characteristic. In paragraph 2, you're going to focus on your one physical characteristic. Okay. Paragraph 3, what 2 words are you definitely going to include? Follow along with the graphic organizer, Jess. I'm sorry? Human characteristic. Paragraph 4, as you transition over, Frank,
Human character.
will also be human characteristic. Okay. All of us worked on paragraph 3 regarding transportation. Let's brainstorm what you might use as a topic sentence here. And then if we get down a brainstorm sentence here, it should help you come up with one here and for one here as well. What was the topic for paragraph 3 again? Connor?
Transportation.
Transportation. Transportation. Transportation, human characteristic. Anyone want to take a shot at it? Or what might be some ideas we want to include in a topic sentence? Human characteristic, transportation. This whole writing is about what? The theme of place. Jake?
A human characteristic about Newfoundland that describes it as a place.
Is
Transportation.
something getting to that. You want to get to the idea that it's a human characteristic, that through the transportation methods, we come to know more about Newfoundland. I'm going to put up an example sentence for you to be able to use, and then you can use it to help you with the other sentences as well. Right, we are ready to start drafting. Many of you enjoy working on paper. It just works for you just to kind of keep going. We've already gotten a start. I am fine with that. If you just want to keep going here, do the rest of your intro, then get into paragraph 2, fine and dandy. Others of you don't work as well that way. You would rather draft on the computer, and that's fine. The good news with drafting on the computer is that you can easily revise and edit before going on to a final. For those of you who start on the computer, you're going to end up by the end of the period feeling a little bit behind, because those kids aren't dealing with logging on and getting set up, those kids who are drafting on paper. Bottom line is that everyone, though, does need to have it typed by the end of the day on Friday. You'll have the rest of this period today, you'll have 2 periods tomorrow, you'll have 2 periods on Friday. That's 4.5 periods to get the writing kind of finished, revised, edited, and then finalized. All right, totally up to you whether you can just continue to draft on paper or if you want to draft on the computer. Within the computer, totally fine to use Google. Those of you who are used to using Google from elementary, that's fine. Don't forget the email address is that legendaryapps.org. Log on, you all have the slips from Mrs. Salvatore. Or if you want to draft in Word, that's fine too. Make sure you save it into your English folder. Right. Anyone from these 2 tables who wants to grab a